A transfer of rulership is coming, and the kingdom of heaven will be on earth. Righteousness will be spread throughout the whole four corners of the earth. Wickedness will be put down.
The Lord promised better things for us, okay? Because the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, has a favorite people. And he's going to give this favorite people a heavenly kingdom. A kingdom that's blueprinted and formatted and patterned after his mind. How he would want a kingdom to be.
Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not. And yet I say unto you that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If then God so clothed the grass which is today in the field and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? And seek not ye what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind. For all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things. But rather seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell that ye have, and give alms. Provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth corrupteth. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
A transfer of rulership is coming, and the kingdom of heaven will be on earth. Righteousness will be spread throughout the whole four corners of the earth. Wickedness will be put down.
All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Chakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there, pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. All right. And what we want to get into today, with the brother GMS Mississippi camp, what we want to get into today, we're dealing with a prophecy, in the book of Daniel, the second chapter, dealing with the feet of iron and clay, partly strong and partly broken. We're going to go into their prophecy and explain how it's playing out today, real time. Okay. And we have to understand, that even Yahushua spoke of, a divided kingdom of Satan. Okay. And we're going to link Esau to Satan. And then we're going to go into the prophecy and show the division, of, this satanic empire, this beast system, which the feet of iron and clay is America, NATO, and the EU, which is the kingdom of Satan in the earth, man. Roman Empire revived. All right. So let's start off there, bro, with that
Mark.
Yeah, that Mark 3, 23.
This is the book of Mark, chapter 3, verse 23. And he called them unto him and said unto them in parables, how can Satan cast out Satan?
Yeah, how can Satan cast out Satan? Because they was telling him that he was a devil. They were calling Yahushua devil because he was casting out, demons. Then they say he was doing it by the power of Beelzebub. But Yahushua respond, how can Satan cast out Satan? That would be counterproductive. Because if Satan, possesses someone, all right, then Satan wants that person to stay possessed. Okay, so if you had demons casting out actual other demons, then what would be the point?
What we call double work.
Yeah, it's super stupid. Yeah. What would the regular angels do? You know what I'm saying? The right hand angels, you know what I'm saying? They won't have no work.
Without a job.
Yeah. So, so he's going into this parable, all right. And if you can receive it, you know, he's also speaking of a future, all right, kingdom that will be divided, and it will be a kingdom ran by Satan, which is Esau, Edom. Okay, which Satan, all right, is a physical counterpart of Esau is a physical counterpart of Satan in the earth. All right, they're the children of Satan, just as we are representatives of the Heavenly Father on the right hand side, the sons of God. Well, this devil here, he's a representation of Satan in the earth, the adversary. Okay, and scripture's gonna go into it. You can say something.
No, bro, I was just agreeing with you.
You got it, bro.
Verse 24. It says, "And if a kingdom if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand.
Yep, go ahead.
And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand."
Yeah, because the kingdom goes into what? The domain of the king. You know, the territory ruled by a king. And right now, and what is a house? A house can represent a lineage. And right now, the earth, the domain of the earth is ran by the house of Esau, Edom. Okay, so this is Esau's kingdom. All right, but it's divided. You see, these devils don't agree, and they never have. Okay, they didn't agree as the Greeks. They didn't agree as the Romans. Okay, the ancient pagan Rome, and they don't agree now. All right, as the new Rome, America, NATO, and EU. You know, then you have the black sheep, you know, of the Edomites, which are the Russians. Okay, and then it's been nothing but a clash. Okay, which the Russians are not a part, you know, of the EU, but they're Edomites. You know, and they don't agree. Okay, so read verse 26, and then we'll link Esau to Satan.
Okay? Verse 26, it says, "And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end."
Yeah, you have an end. So this division that we're seeing amongst Esau, Edom, all right, is speaking to his end. It's a representation of this man's end. The fact that he's divided. Okay, so Yahweh Shah was subtly, you know, giving us, all right, a sign, all right, of the end of Satan's empire. Okay, which is Esau, Edom. Yep. So let's get that in 2 Thessalonians 2:7, Bob Shah.
It's the book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2 and verse 7. It says, "For the mystery of iniquity doeth work already.
Yep.
Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way."
Yeah, so the mystery of iniquity was at work during when? Edom, Rome. Apostle Paul wrote this during the time of Edom, Rome. Okay, so this devil, you know, he will be allotted a slot of rulership until the Lord will come take him out of the way. You know, he fell. You know, he was wounded. You know, his kingdom was wounded. But what happened? He said his deadly wound will be healed. Okay, so the Roman Empire will be revived. So he still had a short space to rule. You know, when he will be revived in the earth. You know, the scriptures say what that little season. Okay, so this is what we're doing now. All right, we're in this little season of Satan. You know. Yeah, you got it.
Verse 8, it says, "Then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming."
Yes, and then shall the wicked be revealed. Okay, we're gonna link Esau to the wicked. Okay, so then shall the wicked be revealed, which we in the time now of the devil being revealed. You know, go ahead.
It says, verse 9, "Even him whose coming is after the workings of Satan, with all power and signs of wonders."
Yeah, so his
wonders.
Who's coming is after the working of Satan with all lines and great wonder. So this devil will be revealed by who? The prophets, and the prophets will begin to spiritually consume this man. Okay, ushering in Yahweh Shai, who's going to destroy him with the brightness of his coming. And then it said what? all right, who's working is after Satan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it says the wicked's working will be after Satan. So let's go to who's the wicked. Let's get that in Malachi. Yep.
Spirit. Come. It says, let me get straight to it. Verse 4. It says, you may go over and
No,
straight
you got it
into it.
right there. Yep.
Now, verse 4, it says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Going into what you were saying about the deadly wound was healed.
The Renaissance. Yep.
It says, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shema of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall cast, they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh Shema hath indignation forever.
So it links Esau to what? The wicked. Okay? The border of wickedness, man. You see? So here it is. The scriptures speak about, the prophets consuming this man. And while we will be consuming this man's kingdom, all right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai, he will be divided. Okay? And his division will result in the end of his kingdom, which Yahweh Shai, he's coming to put a complete end to this devil's kingdom, man. Okay? Because even in matter of fact, get there real quick in Haggai 2 and 22.
2 and 22. It is Haggai chapter 2 and verse 22. It says, and I will overcome, I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen, and I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them.
And that's Yahweh Shai coming back to overthrow, all right, the thrones of the heathen, the kingdoms of the heathens. You see, which will be led by who? Esau, Edom. He will be the top heathen in the kingdom. All right, in this current kingdom, he's the top heathen. Go ahead.
It says, and the horses and their riders shall come down, everyone by the sword of his brother.
Yeah, so these devils will even be fighting each other, everyone by the sword of his brother. And Yahweh Shai, he's just coming to annihilate everything. But before Yahweh Shai even into this realm, these devils are going to be destroying each other, which even that's the judgment of the Lord, to have these devils fighting against each other, But when Yahweh Shai comes, he's coming to a divided kingdom, okay? And they're going to unite for that quick second just to get destroyed by Yahweh Shai, because that's the end of this kingdom, and that's what Daniel, the second chapter, is going to go into. Now, let's go there. Daniel 2. Yeah, 2. It started like maybe 31. I'm gonna skip around a little bit.
King's dream.
Yeah. So Daniel is breaking down the dream for Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, go ahead.
This is Daniel chapter 2 and verse 31. Make sure it's still up. It says, thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible.
Yeah, so King Nebuchadnezzar, all right, he had a dream dealing with a statue, and the statue represented, empires, and he didn't understand it, but it took Daniel, because none of his wise men, none of his magi's could break it down, and it was for Daniel, which was a prophet of Yahweh Shema Shai. It was giving him, all right, the spirit gave him the understanding to break this down. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 32, it says this image, this image's head was of fine gold. His breast and his arms of silver. His belly and his thighs of brass.
So it goes into the image of his head was fine gold. Which goes to Assyrian Babylonian Empire. His breast and his arms of silver, the Medo-Persian Empire. His belly and his thighs of brass goes into the Greeks. So now you get down to the legs. Go ahead.
His legs of iron, his feet part iron and part his feet part of iron and part of clay.
Yeah, so his legs goes into the Romans. And then you had his feet, which were partly iron and partly clay. was a Roman Empire revived. See, when you get to the legs of the statue, that's talking about pagan Rome, okay, ancient pagan Rome. You see, but then you have their wound, their deadly wound that Rome received. You know, as it was removed. You know, Edom Rome was removed from power. It was taken over by Jake. Okay, Jake supplanted. You know, and then you have what you call the Holy Roman Empire. But his feet, that was part iron and part clay. That was this devil bringing Rome back during the Renaissance. Okay, but now it's going to go and expound. Okay, on all right. When you go into the scripture, it's going to break down the geopolitics of what will be going on with all right this kingdom. Okay, so now you can you read 34 and 35 because it all ends the same. Because we read Thessalonians, what did it say? It said that you know, he will be destroyed, you know, by the brightness of his coming. You know, so then that wicked will be revealed, he will be consumed, all right, by the mouth, and then he will be destroyed at the brightness of his coming. Okay, so this devil, it always ends up, all right, with Yahweh Shai coming to visit this man. Okay, you got it, bro.
Con, verse 34, it says, "Thou sawest till that a stone that was cut out without hands, so like will smote the image upon his feet, and whereof iron and clay and break into pieces."
Yeah, so Yahweh Shai is that stone cut out without hands. You know, Con, which means that he's coming, all right, with power not of this world. You know, you see, Esau, all his weaponry is made with hands, men's power, okay, of this world. Well, Yahweh Shai coming with is a power that's out of this world. Okay, you can't create a chariot, you see, on the assembly line, okay, at the Nissan plant. Okay, he's coming with power and weaponry and technology that's not made with the hands of man. You see, and that's what he's coming to do, and he's going to do what? Break this kingdom into pieces, literally, man, with the nukes and the chariots. Okay, go ahead.
Come. It says, "Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broke into pieces together, and became like the chaff. It's like it became like the chaff of the summer's threshing floors, and the wind carried them away."
Yeah, the nukes. Go ahead.
"That no place was found for them."
Go ahead.
"And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth."
Yeah, a great mountain or a great government. Okay. So the end of this man is the beginning of a great government. And that great government is going to be of Yahweh Shai. Matter of fact, real quick, we're going to jump back into that. See, the Bible always goes into the same, okay, timeline. When they're dealing with the devil. He will be raised up. He will be divided. He will get proud. He become divided. And then he will be removed. He will be destroyed. Okay? So let's go to Isaiah 9 and 5. All right? And then there's a great government or a great mountain that's going to be established after him, man. Okay?
Isaiah 9 and 5.
Come on, bro.
Come on, this is Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5. "For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire."
Yeah, so this war, all right, is going to be with burning and fuel of fire, which are the nukes. Okay? So it's going back into the war, because that's going to be the wind that's going to carry this kingdom away that you read about in Daniel 2 and 35. Okay? So right after it speaks about this war, what does it go into? Go ahead.
Come on. It says, verse 6, it says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given."
That's Yahweh Shai, because his birth represent the birth of our kingdom. Okay? It was just, it was a process that had to play out. You know, he would have to be a sacrifice for our sins. Okay, we will have to go into captivity under Esau. Okay, but then his death represents a pardon for sin in Esau's captivity.
Con.
Okay, so Yahushua's birth was the beginning of us coming back into power as a people. But it began with him being born, coming to the earth and fulfilling, the first leg, okay, of our salvation, which is the deliverance from sin. Go ahead.
Con. It says, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty Power, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace.
Yep, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Those are titles. Go ahead.
Con. It said, verse 7, it says, of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end.
It's that great mountain. So that great mountain spoken of in Daniel 2:34, 2:35. Okay, well, this is that mountain, the government of Yahushua. Okay, in which the peace shall be no end. You see, go ahead.
Come on. It says, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of the Lord Yahweh Shemashah of hosts will perform this.
So this is that great government that will be set up, that great mountain. Okay, it will destroy, okay, the 10 toes of this statue, which is the current, all right, rulership of Esau, America, NATO, and the EU, which is Rome revived. Okay, so let's go back to Daniel 2. Yeah, you jump down to like 4-1.
It's Daniel chapter 2, verse 41. It says, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of the potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest iron mixed with murray clay.
Yeah, so you go into, all right, the 10 toes, okay, the feet of the statue. Well, this goes into, all right, the NATO, America, and the EU. Now, when it said partly strong and partly clay, okay, it shows you that it will have, the strength of iron, but it will have weak points, which is described as clay. Because for a while, this has been the dominant power structure of the earth. Okay, but now what we're seeing is that there's a great division, and there's always been divisions because it was never rooted in true unity, because there's a lot of moving parts when you deal with this whole EU, America, and NATO system. Okay, so we put it up on the chat.
Is it?
No,
put it up on the chat, or the
one we pulled up earlier. Yeah, let's get that. So let's go into the divisions of the 10 toes of this statue, part iron and part clay. Okay, now when you go into the EU right now, it's 27 nations. All right, but originally it was 10. Okay, which make up those 10 toes. Okay, they have other nations now. All right, but ultimately it was 10 toes, and Esau tries to offset, prophecy, but ultimately it was 10 nations. Matter of fact, get the first 10 EU nations, and then we'll go back up to that.
To the first 10?
Yeah. Because they erected 10 flagpoles. All right. Yep. So you got 6 founding members, always 6. All right.
That nigga always one number from being complete.
Yeah, so you can read them.
Come. It says, if you mean, this is a quick ChatGPT search. It says, what were the first 10 EU nations? The first 10 EU nations can be understood in 2 ways depending on how you're defining EU. Yeah. It says, if you mean the original countries that formed the foundation of the EU, here's how it evolved. Yeah. In 1951, European Coal and Steel Community, ECSU. So like if this was the first steps towards EU integration. six founding members: Belgium, France, West Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands. 19. So I go ahead.
No, you go down.
It's
Read that.
1957.
Yeah, read that. Yep.
1957 Treaty of Rome, European Economic Community.
Now,
EEC.
why it's called the Treaty of Rome? Okay, this is Rome revived. All right, go ahead.
Come. It says if you mean the first 10 countries to be a part of the European Union or its direct predecessors,
Yep.
you add the next 4 countries to join after the founding 6. 1973 first enlargement, 3 members: Denmark, Ireland, United Kingdom. 1981 next member, Greece.
Yeah, so you have your 10 toes. Okay, you have your 10 toes. So this was what Daniel was seeing, the revival of Rome in the earth. Okay, except this Rome, because it mentioned the ancient Roman Empire, as being iron, the legs of iron. Well, this one was described as having iron, but you had miry clay mixed into it, which means that because you will use certain things to substitute. Okay, because you got different levels when you have iron and steel, and however you can it's a way that you because you cook steel really, so you can put certain lesser metals into it to kind of stretch, and that's why you have different qualities of iron. That's why you pay more for when you get iron skillets and iron, because sometimes you get something cheap, it's mixed with
a bunch of
other shit. It might have 20% iron in it, but it's mixed with other alloys and shit.
Watered it down.
Yeah, they watered down. So now let's go back to the top and show you the divisions, because it says partly strong, partly divided. So let's go into the divisions. Okay.
It says, are there any divisions amongst the EU nations economically, militarily, geopolitically, and culturally? It says, yes, there are divisions among EU nations across economic, military, geopolitical, and cultural lines. All right. It says these divisions don't necessarily mean the EU is unstable or failing, which prophecy already spoken, but they do highlight the challenges of maintaining unity among 27 sovereign countries with different histories, interests, and priorities.
Yep.
It says here's the breakdown to the main types of divisions. All right. It says economic division. You said you want to get that military one.
You
just read down.
You get the economic.
It says economic divisions. It says east versus west. West and Northern Europe, i.e. Germany, Netherlands, Sweden, tend to be more wealthier with more developed economies.
Yeah, so they're economically divided. You got some that are, more wealthy than others. Okay, go ahead.
It says Eastern and Southern Europe, i.e. Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, often have lower GDP per capita or rely more on EU subsidies.
Yeah,
tongue tied.
So they pretty much like welfare nations. They because what happens when you have these big communities, even when you go into because you gotta think about it, like when you go into the NFL, a lot of these teams that ain't good don't make really no profit, but what you got is a big pot, okay, that the NFL has for revenue, and the other teams are pretty much carrying the teams that ain't that good. Like even the WNBA, most of the salary that comes from the WNBA is spillover from the NBA, because it's on the same umbrella. But it's a parent company. You see, so this how these EU nations work. You have these EU nations with wealthier economies, and they have to pull along, okay, some of those that are less, wealthy, man, that doesn't have the wealth,
You read?
Yeah, you go back to it.
because you made me think of something with that one. It says this sometimes leads to tension over EU budget contributions and migration of workers from east to west.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, them niggas ain't put in on nothing. Yeah, poor ass niggas. Yeah, you got it, bro.
It says Eurozone and non-Eurozone.
Yep.
20 of the 27 EU countries use the euro. Countries like Poland, Hungary,
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic,
Yep.
and Sweden still have their own currencies, partly to maintain monetary sovereignty.
Yep. So
This-
you got what you call the Eurozone and non-Eurozone. So what that means is that you have EU nations that use the euro and Euro nations don't. So imagine if every state in America didn't use the dollar. You know how inconvenient that would be. You see,
Yep.
if every state in America didn't use the dollar, well, every nation in the EU they don't use the euro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's division.
Mm-hmm.
You see, go ahead.
It says this can create financial friction, especially during crisis, i.e., the Eurozone debt crisis.
Mm-hmm.
It says North versus South.
So they divided East and West. Then they divided with the Eurozone versus non-Eurozone, and they divided North and South.
Shit, we just one.
You know, they're like a pizza.
One divided amongst money. It says North versus South, austerity and spending. So like it says during the Eurozone crisis 2009 through 2015, countries like Germany and the Netherlands pushed for austerity. The southern nations like Greece, Italy, Spain suffered deeply and often resisted strict fiscal rules.
Yep.
These divisions are still visible in debates about EU fiscal policy and debt sharing.
Yeah, so you had some nations that will be able to give stimulus checks, but then you had nations like Greece, Italy, and Spain like, look,
we gotta share this shit.
Yeah, y'all niggas gotta turn their goddamn air off. Y'all niggas go outside. Turn them goddamn lights off.
What's a debt sharing?
Yeah. So you had Greece because they had them riots in Greece dealing with them austerity measures because, like I say, when the economy is suffering and you got them nations going into them austerity measures, man, they put hell on the people.
Mm-hmm.
They start regulating, and build it like a mean granddaddy, goddamn, hard on your ass, to try to make it make up for economic shortcomings, man. Okay, well then you got one nation, that probably got curfews and it's only a certain amount of stuff you can buy at the grocery store, but then you got other EU nations when they come up short, well, they got enough in the pot to give stimulus to certain businesses and certain entities and different things. So it's two different worlds, within the EU. You can say something?
Nah, I'm still laughing at that, bro. It's all good.
Yeah, you got it, bro.
Can you read?
Yeah.
Military number 2, military divisions. It says NATO versus non-NATO. Most EU countries are also in NATO, but some are not.
Yeah, so you got some EU nations that's not even in the NATO.
All over the place.
Yeah, you got it, bro.
It says Austria, i.e. Austria, Ireland, and Cyprus. It says this creates differences in military integration and defense policy, especially regarding Russia.
Yeah, because when Russia comes through there, it's gonna be light work. It's gonna be light work, man, because they really don't have any coordinated. You hear NATO drills, but you don't never hear a EU military drill. You'll never hear all 27 EU nations doing military drills. You don't even hear the first original 10 doing military drills because you got to drill. You can't wait till nigga outside
Yeah,
You ain't got no comms.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Ain't none of y'all military hardware integrated with one another.
Mhm.
You know, like nah, you don't just wake up out of bed and go to war with a nigga. Like it take decades of because guess what? When when Britain technology changed, just guess what? French got to be up on it.
Yep.
Because now they new shit don't integrate with my old shit.
But do an update. They
Yeah,
say
it's over.
shit. That motherfucker here, it ain't compatible.
Yeah, they ain't compatible. So you
Good.
don't, you know what I'm saying? You don't fall out the bed and go to war.
Yep.
You got to drill.
Mhm.
You got to constantly drill, and you got to constantly be integrated, and you got to be interconnected.
Mhm.
Okay.
Good.
With all this division, that's why when Russia really, that's why Trump handling them like that. He know them nigga trash.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
That's why he tell them niggas like, look, man, y'all gotta pay up some more, man. Y'all gotta pay us for the protection.
Yep. And you can tell that's how Babylon is just stretched so thin.
Yeah.
Like that's why you look at Babylon can't do shit either. Like you started hearing about, man, Babylon got whooped by Iraq, Iran. They got whooped. All these who are the Houthi rebels? They didn't. If you leave, you lost. You know what I'm saying? So it just shows you like the whole thing alone is just like all of them. We see that weakness. We see that clay.
Yeah, the clay being exposed, especially when Russia come through Poland. You know, which Poland you know went for their Article 4, which it pretty much just goes into because Article 5 is supposedly is when the NATO is a pact. When that's the most popular article that you'll hear about because Article 5 is supposedly NATO nations helping. All right, if one of them gets attacked, so supposedly Poland gets attacked by because Ukraine is not in NATO, so it's not covered under Article 5. It's being helped by NATO, but on paper, if Russia, all right, starts a military offensive in Poland, all the NATO nations are supposed to, all right, come to Poland's aid. You know, so Article 4, which Poland has declared, is them having councils about, okay, what do we do in case we have to go to Article 5? You know, so they right there at the door at Article 5. We'll see. You know, go ahead.
It says military divisions. I read that already. It says this creates differences in military integration. Well, I read this. It says U.S. aligned versus strategic autonomy advocates.
Yep.
Countries like Poland and the Baltics strongly favor close ties with the U.S. and then NATO.
And why you think that is? Because Poland right there by Russia. So of course they like, nigga, help.
Help me.
Yeah, like them Baltic nations, they right there by Russia. You see? But when you go into those nations that are more inland, like when you go
I'll give you keep reading.
Yeah, keep reading it.
Countries like France often push for European strategic autonomy, less dependence on the U.S.
Yeah, so them countries that are more inland, that are more Western Europe, they want to be more European dependent militarily, where they ain't got to be so dependent on America. Okay, but the EU, they just don't have it. You know,
the picture came.
Yeah, like nigga, you can't the EU can't muster up a formidable force to do anything. Okay, and they've been so pampered by American military, because really the iron in the 10 toes is America. You know, when you really just go into the iron, you know, the fist, you know, behind this you know, this economic community, you know, because economically you have other nations that's, you know, I say Germany, Britain, France, you know, for a while it's all collapsing now, you know, but just speaking in general, you know, when they was in their heyday, you know, you had, you know, these top, you know, EU nations, we'll say Germany, French, you know, Poland. They was always, you know, the British, You see, but you know it's up and down with them now, but they always you know been at the top economically. You know, but militarily, you know, because since when it was World War II, you know, Germany was broken down militarily. You know, they were pretty much disbanded. You know, Germany used to be a military powerhouse. You know, the Teamanites. You know, they used to dominate Europe. You know, but World War II broke that up, and most of that military might went two ways, to America and to Russia. You know, because you had the Operation Paperclip, where America got all those German scientists. Okay, and then Russia, they had their Operation Paperclip, which was called something else, a Russian name, long ass name. Yeah, so all those Z's and goddamn C's and shit, man. But yeah, so them German, America and Russia split up them German scientists. Okay, and that's where you see, you know, the most high tech militaries are America and Russia, going back to them German scientists that they split up after World War II, and Germany, you know, became average as hell out there.
That makes sense if I'm mad, bro. What you said, the U.S. is their iron, because throughout history, the only two nations that it's really been like a superpower. So now it's really out of Germany, the U.S. and Russia. So that's really like the only iron, the only iron that's really left in the world as a whole. You know,
but because Russia not a part of
they're not a part of EU.
10 toes.
The 10 toes.
Yeah, but just dealing with the 10 toes.
Throughout
Russia. They part is to come against, you know, the 10 toes. You know, before your house shot comes and cleans the board. But Russia, their main part is to be a antagonist against, you know, the 10 toes. You know, but they say their iron is militarily speaking of, you know, America and NATO, which NATO is nothing but a extension of America militarily. You know,
the water tooth, bro.
Good.
Keep going.
Let me see.
Yeah, military spending, geopolitical.
Yeah. Read that military spending.
And then we still got this here from yesterday, so I can share this up too.
Yeah, you can just read that.
This right?
Yeah.
Military spending. It says huge gaps in defense spending and capabilities exist. France and Germany have sizable militaries. Others like Luxembourg, Slovenia spend far less. It's like a coordinating defense efforts like PESCO, permanent structured cooperation, has been slow.
Yeah, the niggas they can't pull nothing off. You know, and then geopolitically, just get that one. Then we go back to the prophecy.
Geopolitical divisions. It said Russia policy, Poland, Baltics, the water. Finland are hawkish on Russia due to geography and history.
Yep.
It says Hungary and under Orban has maintained warmer ties with Moscow, causing tensions with the EU.
So you got, you know, split ideologies dealing with Russia, dealing with China. Some EU nations are more Russian friendly. Okay. Some are more, you know, China friendly. Some, you know, side with the US. So they're divided, you know, geopolitically, man. Okay. So go down to cultural too.
You mean to finish reading China and mitigation, or just go straight to cultural?
Go to the culture. Yeah.
Number 4, it says cultural and political divisions, liberally versus illiberally values. The EU emphasizes rule of law, democracy, press freedom, etc. Countries like Hungary and Poland have clashed with the EU over judicial reforms, media control, and alphabetical rights. This has led to sanctions and funding freezes, deepening political divides.
Yeah, so you should even have that, you conservative, okay, traditional versus, they're more liberal, radical, and, weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and that's a divide that's over here in America, man.
Con.
Okay. So,
read some more. I'll go back to the
yeah, go back to that Daniel. But that was just going through those divisions, so we can see the divisions that Daniel, was speaking on in the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so you can read
verse 24, 42, you may read 41 again.
Read 41 again.
It says, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. There shall be in it of strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with merry clay. It says, verse 42, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken.
And so that's what we just read. That's what we're seeing real time. Mm-hmm. Partly strong, partly broken. Mm-hmm. Militarily, some strong, some are weak. Economically, some strong, some are weak. You have different currencies being used amongst that, community. You have different geopolitical views when it comes to, Russia and China. The West is supposed to be, anti-Russia and China, but you have some EU nations that are China friendly. You have some EU nations that's Iran friendly. So there's a divide almost on every, major thing that a kingdom is supposed to be built on.
It's funny. Your homeboy getting jumped. Hey man, I'm cool with him,
bro. Yeah. Told you not to take your ass over
there. Let me read 43.
Yeah, keep reading. Yeah.
Verse 43, it says, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with merry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as the iron is not mixed with clay.
Yeah, the devil, he mingled the seed throughout the earth through colonization. Mm-hmm. So even though these devils, have colonized the earth, because everything's been colored under the banner, okay, of Europe. When you look at the world, India was conquered by the British. Okay, Africa, is divided amongst, the Spanish, the French, the British, America, Portuguese. Okay, so when you look at the earth, South America, Brazil, Spanish, Portuguese. Okay, the Isles, the French, the Spanish. You see, Canada, French, and British. You see, Australia, the British. You see, even China, was dominated by the British. You see? So when you go into, the devil, he has, colonized them, so he has mingled himself amongst even a lot of these leaders that you think, like them Arabs, them crown princes, man, them be Edomites, man. Even some of these leaders of Latin America, they be Edomites, man. Okay? But all in all, okay, we see nothing but division. Okay? It's not mixing. It's a shit show. Mm-hmm. You see? It says, you can read verse 44.
Verse 44. It says, and in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people.
Yeah, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. So going back is bringing it back to the destruction of what? The 10 toes. Why did it put so much emphasis and go into detail about the 10 toes? Because this will be the kingdom in the days of these kings. Mm-hmm. You see, in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And this is what we're hoping to be a part of, man. Mm-hmm. You see, this is why we're here. Like, we go through these things and, we go through the details, but this is what it's leading to. This is what we in prophecy, man. Mm-hmm. This is how we track these things, man.
And that, if I may add, that's a cut too to that bug out doctrine there. Russia gonna run a little bit. We're gonna rule a little bit. Russia is is they go back to Esau too. You don't think they're gonna be took down if Russia and if this bear and the eagle gonna eventually bump heads,
Yeah.
they gonna fight, and Yahweh Shai gonna come through. What do you think? Yahweh Shai just gonna tell Russia he got it?
Yeah.
No, like all Esau finna get tore down. It says, and the kingdom shall all heathen the water. It says, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. So I thought about that. That's a cut to that.
Yeah.
So if anybody believe in that and that doctrine, it doesn't align with prophecy.
Then what you gonna rule? The way with the missiles and your house shot finna run through this bitch, man.
Gun.
The hell you gonna rule? Where you gonna rule from?
Chains.
Gun. No, your house shot coming to giving that death blow.
Gun.
Okay, all kingdoms gonna fall, and the only thing gonna be rebuilt is the kingdom of Israel. And it's gonna be forever.
Gun.
Go ahead.
It says, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever.
And it shall stand forever. Okay, and that's the point of it. All right. So when you go into the partly strong and partly divided, you got to go into what's happening with the EU, which began with those 10 nations, okay, which fulfill prophecy of those 10 toes. All right, they've added other nations, okay, to that, but ultimately you still see what the division, okay, because even amongst those 10 toes, there's divisions, okay, there's strengths and there's a bunch of weakness, okay, and what we're finna see in this Third World War is those weaknesses get exposed, okay. So Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters was edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations, hopefully, shalom.
Shalom.